Hello everyone, and welcome aboard Captain's Audio. Today, we're going to be starting a mini-series discussing the effects that are used in voiceover. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the effects that I've chosen to use to make myself sound a little bit better while I'm auditioning. We're going to talk about how I use them, why I use them, and then it's also important to note there are some things that I may not fully understand about it. That being said, if you know a little bit more about it, please make sure that you reach out in the comments and let me know, because I'm still trying to learn, same as hopefully you who are learning alongside me. Today's topic is going to be limiters. Before we get started, it's important to note that I use the Reaper digital audio workstation, but limiters should be available anywhere you can record and edit sound. First, before we can start understanding limiters, we need to understand how sound is measured. Sound is measured in decibels. Decibels actually go into the negatives, and then eventually, if you get high enough, will start going positive. But in most cases, it'll stay in the negatives. You'll notice here this bar on the left-hand side is moving up and down quite a bit, and this is the volume of my voice. It tends to be somewhere between -18 and -6 as I'm talking. Usually, we're trying to aim for -12 to -6 decibels. Certain platforms like ACX, which is Amazon's audiobook platform, won't allow you to submit anything that peaks over -3 decibels. In order to keep my volume under the -3, I use a limiter. Now, a limiter, as the name implies, limits my volume. The way that I like to think of it, a limiter is like a bouncer. If sound tries to pass the -3 threshold, the limiter will push it back down. My background is typically in live audio, and in live audio we don't use a whole lot of limiters. So I only first learned about limiters and their benefits while I was learning more about voice acting and how to edit and record my voice for it. A limiter is typically used as a last resort. A limiter can usually be added instantly or over time. And usually, we try to avoid any situation where your voice needs to be pushed down, but it is helpful to have on just in case. So you'll notice if I go to my effects for my voice overall, I keep a limiter on it. Usually I keep this at -3 because like I mentioned before, platforms like ACX don't let you have over -3 for your entire recording. That being said, it's also just helpful to have, so that way it doesn't blow anyone's eardrums out. But I wanted to show it in action today, and explain some of the settings that you're seeing here. So you'll notice at the bottom, we have our release, we have our constant gain, and we have our true peak. We also have our threshold, and the one that I think is really important today, brick wall ceiling. The threshold we can talk a little bit about, because the purpose of the threshold is to make sure that the audio doesn't go over a certain volume. Now, it may seem counterintuitive because you'll notice as I start to bring the threshold down, my volume actually starts to go up. Now, the reason for this is because it's actually trying to compensate for the volume that it's losing, the signal rather that it's losing, and it's trying to compensate by increasing the volume. So we're going to go ahead and bring that back to its natural state at 0, 0. If you want to eliminate this sum, you can use your constant gain. And you'll notice that as you bring it down, your volume also starts to go down more. But you'll notice in addition to this, the brick wall ceiling is going down as well. We're going to take it back to 0, 0 real quick. Now comes the part that I really tend to utilize for my audio recordings, the brick wall ceiling. The brick wall ceiling will essentially hard stop your volume wherever you decide you need it stopped. In this case, if I want it to go down to -4, maybe I don't want my volume to go past -4 no matter what. I put my brick wall ceiling and testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, testing. You'll notice over here, testing. You'll notice that distortion in my voice, that weird sound when I went anywhere close to -4. That's because our brick wall ceiling is stopping my voice right there. And again, we'll go ahead and bring it down even further, and you'll be able to hear my voice go down with it. That's because it's limiting my voice. So we're going to go down, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, testing, testing. And then we're going to go ahead. We're going to go back up to our -0. So as you can see, it essentially stops our voice from going whatever negative or whatever decibel that we set it at. That's why we want to use it for things like ACX, where we can't peak over -3, is so that way if something happens and our voice does go over -3, it stops it and prevents it from doing that. Lastly, we have our release here. Our release is essentially how long it takes for our audio to get back to normal after it's decided to limit it. Usually, it's going to be automatically set at around 15 decibels a second, meaning that that's the rate that it'll go back to normal. It'll go about 15 decibels in either way in a second. We can increase that. We can make it lower as well, making it to where it doesn't really go back to normal over time. Whatever you need it to do for your voice, you can. That being said, when it comes to limiters, as I mentioned before, we hopefully shouldn't have to use it at all. Our limiter is just a precaution in the event that something happens and it causes our audio to go way higher than we want it to. If we have all of our settings set correctly, it shouldn't do that, but it's always helpful to have something just in case. So that being said, that's just a short overview of a limiter and what it can do. Thank you for watching today. Please let me know if you'd like to see more about the effects that are used in recording my voiceover and in the editing or recording process, or if you'd prefer to see more about the process of auditioning and choosing scripts, or voices, or editing styles. I hope you have a wonderful day.